Hey, it's the Down with Doug, and today we're talking about goals. Why? Because it's January, and that's what we do in January. Now, the problem is we all talk about goals, and very few of us actually achieve our goals. In fact, by the end of the year, only 9% of people will achieve their goals. Why? Well, it turns out goals are really hard to do. So I'm going to show you in this episode the 5 reasons people fail on their goals. And if you stick through to the end, I've got a bonus reason for you, as well as a gift to help you smash your goals this year. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before I tell you what these 5 mistakes are, you're probably thinking, hey, what the hell do you know about goals, and what do you know about the science of goals, and so on and so forth? Valid question. Good question. So I'm Doug, and I worked for a long time in many different fields. I hated the corporate life. I was a primary school teacher, and then I was an investment banker, and I just thought, is this as good as life gets? And I thought I can't. So during that time, my dad passed away, and he was pretty happy when he passed away. You know, I'm trying to keep it light. This is not a dampener. But I thought, would I be happy if I passed away in my current position? And the answer was, no way. No way would I be happy. So I started looking elsewhere of things that I could do that were more in line with who I was as a person. Certainly wearing a tie and a suit and going to a corporate job was not the one for me. I hated it. And it really got me down. So I looked around, and I eventually ended up in film and TV, and I worked with a guy, Dan Houston. Shout out to Dan Houston. And he told me about being a stuntman. He told me that you had to achieve quite a high level in 6 different sports. And he was training. I thought, wow, that's so cool. But there were no sports I'd ever done other than swimming. Swimming was on that list. So there were things like gymnastics, platform diving, scuba diving, trampolining. I'm trying to think of the other ones you could do. Rally car racing, horse riding. I'd never done any of these things. Martial arts, that was a big one. And I thought, man, I could take this inheritance from my dad, and it would cost me all of it, but I could train in all of these sports from scratch at the age of 29, almost 30, and I could actually, do something about this. So I did. And I took that money and I dedicated myself. I quit everything else, had a little bit of income coming in from none other than nannying for different families. I was a manny, as they call it. And quite quickly, I learned that if I put these good systems into place, if I had the goal set, then I could achieve this thing. In around 18 months, I went from not knowing martial arts to then being a brown belt. I also went from swimming times that I'd never done before. I was diving off platforms, which I'd never done, somersaults, the lot. I became a new person. I embodied this new identity of someone who could achieve. And it made me the happiest I've ever been. And that's the interesting thing about goals, is that we're designed to overcome. We're designed as humans to be better, to achieve more. And your body and your mind reward you with chemicals like norepinephrine or dopamine to make you feel better on your way to achieve goals. So when we're not achieving goals, we're kind of doing ourselves a disservice. I was excited all the time. I was excited to wake up because I was like, what else do I have to do? When it comes to doing the stunt register, which is what it's called in the UK, you have a list of all the things you have to do. So when it comes to platform diving, it was reverse dive, it was back dive, it was full somersault, it was, I don't think you had to do 1.5. You had to do a dive half twist. You had to do a Barani. You had a full list of all these moves you had to do. So it was very clear what I had to do and how long I had. Well, I decided how long I had because I was thinking, I'm not earning any money. Being a nanny doesn't pay the bills that well. So what I did is I dedicated my time to this, and I had a schedule, and I achieved this in 18 months. And I became a stuntman from someone who was a really overweight child, not particularly athletic, to then achieving this. This was a big deal to me, especially in the field of something like gymnastics, which I hadn't done. I was kind of overweight. I wasn't very flexible. And by the end, like now I can do the handstands. At that point, I could do the somersaults. It was very exciting. So I know a thing or two about goals. Now, fast forward 12 years, I've been doing stunts for about that long. And I'm now looking at other things I want to do. And psychology is one of those things. So 2 years ago, I started my master's, and I did it full-time while I was also working full-time. And just to give you an idea, I was working on a TV show called Liaison, which Vincent Cassel, I was the lead double on that. And I only say that to let you know that I was busy. I was busy on set all the time. They shaved me every day. They would put me through hair and makeup. I'd be on set. We had action sequences to do. We had to travel to France. It was busy. And I had to do a lot of my work on my phone, writing essays and so on. And then I went on to Indiana Jones, and I did that for another 8 months while I was also studying. So I had, again, a goal I wanted to achieve, and I just didn't want to achieve that goal. I also set the goal for me to get a first in that. So, and if you don't know that, it's kind of an A effectively. And I achieved that. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to get my graduation, to get my official document, although I have one already. And again, what I realized is I had that excitement back. I had a goal. I was pushing for that goal. I knew what was required, and I knew the time limit, and I went for it. And it made me extremely happy once again. So again, I have these two different worlds. One is a very physical world. One is a very cognitive world. And both took goals to get there. So I know a thing or two about goals. That's my point. So hopefully I've convinced you and you're ready to get into these 5 mistakes that I learned on my way that come with goals. Also, I drew on my neuroscience background and psychology background to give you these 5 tips, which are so helpful. So let's check them out. All right, mistake number 1, we choose too many goals and we aim too high. Now, the word priority, just as a bit of trivia, was singular all the way up till quite recently, the 1900s. So we used to say, I have a priority, and it could only be one thing. Now we say, I have priorities, multiple things. And the reality is, like the biblical saying goes, you can only serve one master at a time. The same goes with goals, all right? Although there may be multiple things in your life you would like to change and need changing, if you focus on lots of them, you kind of dilute the source. You're not putting all of your effort into that one thing. Now, later you can add on to your goals. That's no problem. But to start with, you want to make goals as easy as possible so you become a goal achiever. Otherwise, if you keep failing your goals, then you become a goal failer, and that becomes a habit in itself, and then you're less likely to ever try it again because you feel bad. That's what happens with resolutions. We do them over and over again, and the pattern that starts to emerge is, I promise that I'll do something, and I break that promise to myself. You don't want that. Make it easy for yourself. Choose one goal to start with. Now, there are a multitude of goals. The way you can choose that is by using the wheel of life, which is a way of assessing your life on 9 or 8 dimensions, depending on which one you use: health, wealth, and relationships. Each of them has 3: mental health, spiritual wealth, physical health. Your money can be, your wealth will be the money you have, your career, and your mission. And then something like relationships will be with your friends, family, with yourself, or with your partner. So you get the idea, and you can see what aspects of your life probably need the most work, but probably intuitively, you're quite aware of what aspect of your life is in need of the most work right now. That should be your goal. Choose that to be the area in which you focus on first. So that's it. Choose one priority and make that your goal. Then we aim too high. So for instance, a weight is a very common one. So say for your physical health, that comes up as the most pertinent thing that you need to focus on. The issue there is, you'll think, well, I need to lose 10 kgs. So you'll say, I'm going to lose 10 kgs this month. The reality is you're unlikely to do that unless you get some real horrible viral disease, okay? And you don't want to lose 10 kgs in a month. What happens if you set this goal and the end of the month comes and you don't achieve it? Again, the disappointment comes with it, the anguish, the pain of not achieving your goal makes you not want to do it again, because now there's an emotional attachment to goals being something that hurt you. And they shouldn't. They should be something that uplift you. So instead of saying 10 kgs, you say 1 kg. Keep it nice and easy, all right? Goals, again, you can add extra goals on. You can also increase what your goal is. So my goal for the first month, maybe look after my physical health, and then I could say, that's going to be to lose 1 kg, even less. And what I could say then is, okay, if I lose that 1 kg, then maybe I could lose 2, maybe I could lose 3, and so on and so forth. You get this momentum, and that's a big part of what goals are about, getting momentum, because you feel a little bit stronger. In my situation as a stunt guy, I would achieve a move, a full twisting back somersault on the trampoline. I'll go, I did it. And then it made me go, hey, if I could do that, I could probably do that. But I didn't start with a full twisting back somersault. I started with a backdrop, and that was pretty hard. But you add on layers, all right? Humans are quite good at adding things on, getting incrementally better. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Choose one goal, aim low to start with, and then build on that. So that's problem number 1. You aim too high and you have too many goals. don't do it. Mistake number 2, we don't have a good why. Now, we hear about this all over the place. Let me explain to you why you need a why. You see, when you're setting a goal, you're committing to do things differently. You know that your life isn't going the way you want it to, so you set a goal to commit to do things differently, to get a different outcome. As humans, we're creatures of habit, so we don't want to do things differently. Even when the things that we're doing currently hurt us or don't serve us, it's comfortable to do them because it's what we're used to. It requires very little energy from us. The energy required to do something new is known as limbic friction. So a why can reduce the limbic friction. Why? Because it motivates us. Things are going to be hard. When you're doing things differently, when you're going to the gym for the first time, there's going to be a lot of friction. So having a why is going to make you go, okay, I'm here, and even though this is painful, I want this reward, so therefore it is worth it. We're effectively giving ourselves a reason to be there. Without one, you're kind of just going through the motions. There's no spirit behind it. Now, you can have different types of why. If you're a young man and you're going on holiday and you want to be buff, you want no carbs before marbs, you want to be in good shape when you hit the beach, the girls, are impressed by you, then that can be a very powerful why, depending on what your circumstances and what your identity is. Another powerful why would be, I want to go to the gym so I can play with my kids more, so I don't get tired when I'm with them. Another one may be that I want to live longer and be healthier and not be in pain and not have injuries, and I want to be strong and healthy and be able to interact with life in a way that serves me. Now, those are all different whys. It's up to you to choose one that's going to help you buffer the hardness of whatever you're trying to change. What's going to make you do the extra set? What's going to make you push a little bit harder? What's going to make you show up day after day? Because it's going to be a hard slog. My advice here would be, the more you can make these rewards internal, the better. As an example, the young lad that's going to the beach, he only gets validation once he's at the beach, and he only gets validation if and when someone comes up to him and goes, you're in amazing shape. So we're outsourcing how happy we're going to be with our outcome to someone else. For the dad, every time he's with his kids, every time he feels healthier or happier or injury-free, he gets a hit of dopamine because his reward is internal. He's not waiting on someone else. All right, it's internally motivated. And usually intrinsic motivation pushes you a lot further than extrinsic. Other examples of extrinsic would be things like money or status. Again, they rely on other people to give it to us, whereas intrinsic rewards rely on us giving us the motivation. So be very careful about how you choose your why, but certainly have one regardless. You need a why to make your goals. Mistake number 4, we focus on outcomes instead of outputs. Now, based on the previous examples I've given you, I'm going to just develop this idea a bit more. When I say you need to make more money, which you know now, you don't say I want to make more money, I want to make 50,000 pounds more. Whatever that number is, be specific about it. I want to lose 10 kgs of weight. Be specific about it. Be realistic about it too, because that was our number 1 mistake, but you need that too. Be specific. However, when it comes to our goals, a big mistake people do, and this is kind of an unspoken about thing, is we focus on the outcomes, not the outputs. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, outcomes are things that we get, and outputs are things that we do. If we focus on the things that we get, what we forget is we don't have full control over that. If I say that I want to lose weight or I want to make money, I have some control. I can work very hard. I can train very hard. I can eat very well. But ultimately, if I lose that exact amount of weight, it may be down to hormones or weather, or it may be down to how busy I was, how much stress I was under. When it comes to the money, it may be how the industry is doing in total. Was there a strike on? Are the stocks down? There are lots of things outside of your control. And the issue with outcomes is you outsource then your happiness, just like your extrinsic rewards, to someone or something else. And what happens with the goals, I told you before, it's all about momentum. Well, then you lose momentum because you say, well, I had to hit this outcome, and now that I didn't, I'm a failure. And the reality is, maybe you didn't make 50,000, you made 48,000. That's still pretty amazing. You were on your way to achieve an outcome, but you still did really well. What I suggest for motivation is instead you focus on outputs, things that you can do. So when it comes to losing weight, I don't say I want to lose X amount of weight. Now, it's all good to have that as a target, I'm not saying take it off the table, but don't make that your goal. Instead, make your goal, I'll go to the gym 4 times a week. I'll eat healthy Monday to Friday. I won't have dessert. If it's money, I'm going to work X amount of hours more on overtime. I'm going to get another income stream. I'm going to research different ways. I'm going to invest, whatever the case is. Outputs are a way of saying, what are the things that I can do that I have control over that make my outcome most likely, almost inevitable? Now, this starts to set up a system. Like I say, your outcome, I like to think about it as a bullseye on a target. Now, if I miss the bullseye, I'm still on the board. I still get points. And that's why I choose outputs over outcomes. So when you're choosing your goals, take your outcome, make that your bullseye, but make your goals your outputs so that you have control over that and you will stay motivated. Again, you can tinker with the outputs to get closer to the bullseye month after month. But again, goals are all about motivation. They're all about consistency, and it's all about momentum. So make sure you're on the board at least, and you can do that by sticking and focusing on your outputs, not the outcomes. So mistake number 5, you're way too positive. I know that's a weird thing to say, especially for someone who's into positive psychology, but hear me out. It's all good to have a goal and dream about how it's going to improve our lives. That positive part is fine. The issue comes in when we think, well, it'll just happen. We'll just show up and do the thing and we'll get the goal. The thing is, if goals were easy, it wouldn't be 9% of people that are achieving them. It would be everyone. This is one of the big things that happens. We have our goal, we have our plan, but then we start to execute the plan and we find that there's hurdles on the way. The gym that I want to go to is half an hour away. I don't always know where my shoes are. I'm really tired after work. There's junk food in the house. There's all these little hurdles that will trip me up on my way to my goal. If I don't think about those beforehand, then what ends up happening is I come across them and I lose motivation. I skip a day, I skip 2 days, I skip 3 days. What you need to do is negative visualization to realize the hurdles that can come up on the way to you changing your behavior. This is going to prime a part of your brain that's going to make you more likely to overcome it when you get to it. It's like a pre-match warm-up before you get to the main event. So if I know that before I come downstairs that I need to know where my shoes are, then I may actually take action, put my shoes ready at hand so I can get out the door straight to the gym when I need to. Alternatively, if I know I'm going to be tired after the gym, I can think about this beforehand and remind myself that you will be tired, but when you get to the gym, you'll feel better. By practicing that before I get to the hurdle, I'm more likely to overcome the hurdle. Now, there's a great meditation which is available. Check the link in the description. It's called the Whoop meditation, designed specifically for this. And the results are just amazing when it comes to everything from stopping certain habits like smoking or eating, and then taking on new habits like going to the gym or finishing a degree or whatever the thing is you need to do. It's called the Whoop meditation. It's by Gabriella Oettinger. She's an amazing woman. So check out my meditation on that below. And just a note, the Stoics were way ahead of the time with this. They had something called premeditatio malorum, which is this pre-think about problems that may come up in your life. They didn't just do it for goals, they did it for everything. And it's pretty dark in some ways, but also very useful. It makes you really grateful for life. If you're interested in that, also check out my link below for my Stoic course, where we talk more about things like that. All right, bonus tip time. Now, another mistake that people make is they go it alone. When I was training for the stunt register, the difference between when I was doing it on my own and when I got a coach for gymnastics and martial arts and trampolining was incredible. The same goes for when I was doing my masters. I got a tutor on board and they helped me so much. You see, these people have walked the path that you're on already. They've made the mistakes that you're about to make, and they can save you the time of making those mistakes. They know what's coming up. They can give you their insight that has taken them years to accumulate. You can really stand on their shoulders and get into a much better place. It's for this reason that I set up this course, Happy New You. Link is in the description. It's a 30-day challenge. And during this, there'll be 3 blocks. One will be how to set your goals specifically for you, how to then make those goals habits so that they stick. And then lastly, what are the habits that you can instill in your life to live healthier and happier? Now, if you're interested, seriously interested in changing your life and achieving your goals this year, being that 9% of people that achieve their goals, then I cannot suggest anything better than this course. As a thank you for making it through to the end of this video, I've also given you a nice discount code. It's also in the link in the description. So go check it out. If you have any questions, hit me in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.